I wanted him out of my life. Forever. I wanted him to disappear. The day that he died, I think that's why I just stood there, watched. Not because I was scared or weak, but because I didn't know if he deserved to be saved. And I've tried to forgive myself. I've tried, but I can't. I can't. So now when I lie in bed at night, I pray that something will happen to me. That something terrible will happen to me. So that's why I'm here. Because I just want you to take me away. And I want you to make me disappear.
Stranger, danger, talking stranger things. Together, forever, we're loving stranger things. It's Stranger Things Forever. Rewatching season 4 from the start to the finish. It's Stranger Things Forever. Every podcast we do will cover just 10 minutes. Stranger danger everywhere. I hope that you people still care. It's time for me to do it. Let's get to it. Come on, everyone.
Good morning, stranger friends. It's Wednesday morning. Hello, stranger friends. And you are listening to Stranger Danger, and this is Stranger Things Forever. I didn't plan what the lyrics would be, and now I can't stop. I'm stuck. Please help me. I am still going. Why is this happening? Wait, Okay, I got out. Happy Wednesday morning, stranger friends, and welcome back to a morning edition of Stranger Things Forever, where today we are getting some action, some excitement, some sadness, and some fear as we cover the next 10 minutes of Stranger Things 4, Chapter 9, The Piggyback. But before I get there, I did type into Google News, Stranger Things. Even though I'm only about a half hour away before I need to start my workday, I want to take some time to talk to you about a couple things. Number one, that Sadie Sink, Max Mayfield. Now, she is prominently featured in this 10 minutes, and she has a great monologue that I played at the beginning of this episode. Very heartfelt. Very good acting. She is making her debut on the West End, which is like the British Broadway. So she is making her debut in a new production of Romeo and Juliet. And of course, she's going to be Juliet. Which, now that I think about it, makes me nervous because, well, we know how Juliet's ending goes. I just hope Max's ending is a little better, a little happier. But we don't know. Again, I mentioned it yesterday. We have no idea what happens to Max, except it doesn't seem like what we see at the end of this episode seems to be continuing in the beginning of Chapter 5, Season 5, Stranger Things 5. You know what I mean. Another thing I wanted to mention was posted on the New York Post's website, which New York Post I barely think of as a newspaper. But they had a Stranger Things article that I thought was worthwhile. It says Netflix has sold a home prominently featured in Stranger Things to diehard fans of the show. Netflix's Stranger Things may be coming to an end, but the Wheeler family's fictional home is beginning a new season. The two-story home in Atlanta's East Point suburb served as the home of the series' central family for 5 legendary seasons. Again, the Post. For you you're assuming the fifth season's legendary. Now, of course it will be, but at the same time, bad writing. As luck would have it, Netflix actually owned it and listed it for $350,000, but it sold for $365,000 according to Zillow. The new homeowners, unnamed local couple, of course, why would they want their name out there? They told them that they were avid fans of the show and drove by the Wheeler house often. Their heartfelt letter to Netflix and offering $15,000 over asking price seemed to have sealed the deal. I had a former coworker who her and her husband bought a house, and they wrote this heartfelt letter to the homeowner to get the house. Is that a thing now? It's been a long time since I've bought a house. I've purchased two homes, a house and a condo in my life, and neither time did I have to write a letter. But again, that was a long time ago, so maybe that's like a regular thing now, especially with so many competitive offers out there. I don't know, but I thought that was worth mentioning. So I'm going to put a link to both of these in the show notes. And then also I stumbled upon an article from Nerdist.com, which, to be honest, I didn't even know was still around. I know it was started by Chris Hardwick, the guy who did like the Talking Dead, Walking Dead after shows. And there was a podcast, and I wonder if it kind of became very popular. I wonder if he just sold it. But anyway, there's an article on there from 2 days ago. So I missed it. The 5 wildest Stranger Things 5 theories on the internet. I am not going to read the paragraphs. I am not going to read the details. I'm not going to read why these people have these theories. But I am going to read the top 5 headlines, just the headlines, what the theories are. Not going to go into any detail, but I will put a link to it in the show notes if you want to check it out. It caught my eye, and I thought, well, there's nothing in this that will spoil it to me. Like, oh, I didn't even thought of that, and now I'm going to look for this. But the headlines, at least not in the headlines. In the descriptions, there might be something that will get stuck in my head, and all of a sudden I'll be looking for that. And I don't want to do that. But here are the top 5 headlines. The first one is, the real Will is still in the Upside Down. Now, I don't think that's true at all, just because we've seen this Will, and we've seen just the emotional moment he had with Jonathan in the last 10 minutes tells me this is the real guy. The emotional moments he's had with Mike, this is Will, and it always has been. So that's a bad theory. I'm not going to read any more about that. Erica will defeat Vecna. Now that's I don't even know where the theory comes from. I just know that she's as capable as anyone else. I mean, she doesn't have any magic powers, but what she doesn't have in magic powers, she makes up for tenfold in confidence and brains. So could be possible. Everyone is in a psychiatric hospital or playing a Dungeons and Dragons game. So in other words, the whole thing isn't real. I think that's dumb, and that would just ruin the whole show. That's like a Saint Elsewhere type feeling, where the whole show was in like Saint Elsewhere was just a show about a hospital. I don't know if it was kind of quirky, because I never realized elsewhere, quote unquote, isn't a place. It's elsewhere. But at the end, the final episode, like the whole thing was in the mind of a child who was shaking a snow globe. I don't know. I never actually watched that show. Then the next one is 11 will defeat Vecna in Stranger Things 5 and erase everyone's memory of her and the Upside Down. This is an interesting one, but I don't think she could do that. And then they'd be like, what happened to this guy? Where's this? Like, would she erase all the memories of everyone who died? And not memories of not their memories, but the memories that people have of them. Like, hey, where's this guy? Where's that guy? Hey, where's the guy who played basketball for us? Hey, where's that guy from Hellfire Club? Like, the memories, all of a sudden they're like, wait, why am I, 5 years older than I used to be? I like the 11 will defeat Vecna. I don't like that she would erase everyone's memory, because there's too much with the government, with the world now, everyone knowing. It's too much. 11 and Will are twins separated at birth. I don't mind this one. I think that could be kind of a cool one. There's a reason, but it doesn't really, well, I guess you could say they could, I'm not going to read anything about it in headlines, but what could you do for that? Like, all of a sudden, they show that clip all the time of 11 being born, and you see 11's mother, Terry Ives, oh, Jane. And what if there was, and then another, like all of a sudden they cut and they show then another baby being delivered. Now that, again, would go past everything that we've been told for years, including books. Now, I know the books aren't the show, but there is a book that features Terry Ives prominently and kind of ends with 11 being born. I read it years ago, but I'm pretty sure that's how it ends. So I like that idea, but the realistic chance that that's going to happen, I don't think so. And that's it. Those are the 5. I will put a link into the show notes if you want to read the descriptions on those, the details. I do not, but I thought it was kind of at least fun to take those at the 10,000 foot level, the broadest level, just the headlines, and see what I thought about them. And, not terrible, but I don't think much of them. I don't think any of them will come true. How about that? All right, now enough of these Google News stuff. Now, without any further ado, let's jump into the next 10 minutes of the Piggyback. So we pick up in the Surfer Boy Pizza back kitchen where the lights are flickering and Arga's like wild. Everyone else in the room is pretty much they're used to this, but he's like whoa. And then we see Max and Lucas, and 11 sees them. She's like, I found them. They're carrying a light, a blue light. And you see Max sit down, and she's kind of waiting. She starts yelling like, "What are you waiting for, asshole? I'm here. I'm right here." And they're asking 11 what's going on. She says it's not working. Like, what's not working? Max's plan. But is it not? Because then Max gives that wonderfully heartbreaking monologue that I played at the beginning of the episode. I know you can hear me, you can read my thoughts, even the worst ones, maybe just the worst ones. And she goes on to talk about, that in the thoughts, you were saying how I wanted my brother to die. That was what happened in the episode Billy. And I thought you were just trying to upset me, to anger me, but you weren't. You were just telling the truth. Billy made my life a living hell. So I would stay up at night and pray for something horrible to happen to him. Maybe he could crash his car, dying in that stupid car. I just wanted him out of my life forever. I wanted him to disappear. And the day he died, why I just stood there? Not because I was scared, because I didn't know if he deserved to be saved. And I tried to forgive myself, but I can't. So now when I lie in bed at night, I pray for something happen to me, that something terrible would happen, that, you would just make me disappear. And all of a sudden, Lucas says, is that true? You wanted Billy to die? And I love that Max says, what are you talking? She doesn't say, what are you talking about? She says, why are you talking? Because she knows that Lucas should be quiet and that Max is the only one who should be connecting to Vecna. But you realize right away, Lucas isn't looking at her right away. And he's like, you ever have thoughts about that, about me? And she's like, no, what are you talking about? He's like, normal people don't fantasize about killing other people, Max. You realize that, right? I thought you were better, but you're not. You're sick. And it's awesome because you start to realize this isn't Lucas. It's like, maybe it's good he takes you. Maybe it's for the best. In fact, I'm glad it's going to be you. You will be the chosen one, the fourth, the final sacrifice. It will be you that breaks the world. But then you realize the real Lucas is in the real Hawkins screaming, Max, can you hear me? And then 11 realizes it. Like the lights are flickering back in the pizza place. There's so much going on all over the place. And 11 says he has her. And then now we're in Max's mind. She runs off and now it's no longer Lucas. It is Vecna. And he's like, Max, where are you going? Don't be scared. She runs off like, stay away from me. He's like, I thought you were ready to disappear. So in the real world, Lucas is trying to wake up Max. In Max's mind, Vecna is chasing Max. And in the void, 11 now sits down next to Max, says, Max, it's okay. I'm coming. Just hold on a little longer. We then get this great montage of memories of Max And I almost feel like we go backwards. Is that right? I think we go backwards. Like we're seeing her at the cemetery. We're seeing her hanging out with her friends. We're seeing things go back. I think we see her skating. I believe we see her, and I could be wrong. And I just watched it. We see the dance. We see the trick or treating. All these different things, and it ends with her getting out of the car, which I think is the first time we see her in Stranger Things 2. And then we see maybe it's when Mr. Clark introduces Maxine. It's just Maxine to the classroom. So we see all these memories, and then boom, 11 is now outside in this famous spot in California. At least I think it's the same famous spot. I think it's the Los Angeles River Basin, maybe. Isn't that in Greece where they had this drag race? I feel like it's the same spot, if not very similar, where it's like, it looks like there should be water there, but there isn't. And there's cement ramps that kind of lead down to this bottom floor, and tons of kids are skating there. And this is where Eleven's like, I think I'm inside a memory, a Max memory. And they're like, do you see her? Do you see Max? She's like, no, but she's here. She has to be here. Meanwhile, you have Lucas flashing a light in full panic mode because he sees now that Max, her eye. I didn't mention this, but when Max thinks she's arguing with Lucas, Lucas is actually trying to wake Max up because Max is now in full trance mode. Her eyes are rolled in the back of her head. She's still sitting down, but it is very scary. So he panically now is flashing the light back out. Now, this was all part of the plan, but he's flashing the light back outside to Erica, who is letting the Upside Down crew know it's time to initiate phase 3. So Robin says, okay, move on to phase 3. Dustin says, copy that, initiating phase 3. And you see that there is an extension cord. So they ran an extension cord all the way from the real world, all the way to the Upside Down, to the roof of Eddie's trailer. And he says, let's hope they hear this. Eddie then sitting there with his guitar. He says, Chrissy, this is for you. One of the greatest heavy metal songs of all time. Eddie distracts the Demobats with friggin' Metallica's Master of Puppets. Master of Puppets, the album, Metallica's third album, came out March 3rd, 1986. I cannot imagine knowing that, like, this song being new. I cannot imagine, like, to Eddie, this song is, what is it, a few months old? Like, this is the new song of that year. This is the big heavy metal song of that year. So and Eddie plays it flawlessly. It is incredible. Now, Metallica, again, one of the biggest metal bands of all time. They're definitely one of my favorite bands. I've seen them in concert 3 times. 1993, I went with my brother. 1994, went with my brother and a couple friends. And then flash forward 30 years to 2024 and saw them just last year at Gillette Stadium in their big stadium show with my brother, his wife, his son, and our friend Dave. And it was, and my cousin, who their favorite band, he was there as well. He was not at the first 2 concerts because I think he was too much of a tiny little child then. But he was definitely there this time. He drove all the way from Connecticut, which is a state from what I've understood. But the fact that we got an actual song, I don't know what I was expecting. I think I was just expecting him to just play some sort of solo, something, generic that Eddie created. But the fact that he kicks right into Master of Puppets, and then it transitions into the actual song, and it's used as a chase. As Eddie is playing this song, Max is being chased around the Creel house from the slow and lumbering Vecna, and it is just a spectacular scene. We cut between Vecna slowly going after Max, to Max running around panicking, trying to break out of the Creel house, to Eddie playing the guitar on top of the trailer with red lightning flying by him. And if you think Vecna is the only evil No, because we also see Jason and other guy driving up, and they're like, "Do you see her? I see her." Now, we don't know where Jason goes, but all of a sudden, other guy in his hat, I don't know what his name, hat guy, jerk face, loser, hate him, he goes and chases Erica, chases a child, okay? This kid should be put in jail. And what happens to Jason? Oh, that's not even half of what should happen to Jason. Anyway, I love making Jason half puns. So this kid is, Erica's getting chased by this kid. Max is being chased in her mind by Vecna. Metallica's playing. Eddie's jamming on top of the trailer, and Dustin is just rocking, singing along. Meanwhile, Will and Mike, like those guys, are just kind of standing there watching 11. They're not doing much of anything. 11's trying to do stuff. Max is trying to do stuff. Erica's trying to do stuff. Eddie's trying to do stuff. Like, they're the ones who are actively trying to do stuff. And of course, we have our 3 older kids that are about to head inside the upside down version of the Creel House. And then the song just goes, "Master, Master." And that's where it ends. Right there. Our 10 minutes comes to an end in a wild moment of Stranger Things, where we were having setup upon setup, getting ready, gearing up. Things are now going crazy. 11 is inside the void, and then went from the void inside to Max's memories. Meanwhile, Max is trying to run from Vecna inside her own mind, while at the same time, Erica is running from that creep. Jason has showed up to cause some trouble. We have the 3 older kids heading inside the upside down version of the Creel House, and we have Metallica playing with Eddie, jamming and distracting the Demobats in his side of the upside down. So much happening at once. It is awesome. It is electric. And the fact that you have a classic metal song playing over it brings it all together and just makes it cohesive and brings some gravitas to it. And it just makes it so friggin' memorable. And with that, I bid you adieu this morning. Now, it is 8:30 right now, and so I need to start my workday. So this will probably get put up somewhere around lunchtime today. But I will be back tonight to talk about the next 10 minutes of Stranger Things for the Piggyback, because we are closing in now. My friends, a week from today, it's here. A week from today, there's no longer rehashing. There's no longer talking about stuff we've seen a million times. It's just time to sit back and get ready for Stranger Things 5. In fact, by this time next week, I will have watched the first episode, and I will have already been started on the first episode of Stranger Danger 5. But that's still a week away. We have much to do until then, including another episode this evening. But until then, follow me on all the socials at Geek Mentality, except TikTok, which is Geek Mentality Mike. I apologize for my morning voice. It just kind of happens. It's a little scratchy, but it makes me almost feel dramatic. She's got Betty Davis eyes. You can follow us on Facebook at Fans Not Experts, on YouTube at Fans Not Experts. And what else? Oh, yeah, that's because the website where all my podcasts can be found is fansnotexperts.com. But if you just care about Stranger Danger, go to strangerdangerpodcast.com or follow Stranger Danger Podcast on Blue Sky and Stranger D Pod on Twitter, or do all 3. Do all of it. I will talk to you tonight. But until then, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Stay stranger, my friends, all day. And remember, it's people like you and people like me. We are the ones who help keep Stranger Things alive forever.
Fans Not Experts.